I've been north and I've been south and I've been east and west. I've been just a rolling stone. Yet there's one place on this earth I've always liked the best. Just a little town I call my own. A Dublin can be heaven with coffee at 11 and a stroll in Stephen's Green. No need to hurry, no need to worry, you're a king and the ladies a queen. Grafton Street's a wonderland, there's magic in the air. There are diamonds in the lady's eyes and gold dust in her hair. And if you don't believe me, come and meet me there in Dublin on a sunny summer morning.
We used to go to a place called the Bayno.
Okay.
It was a Lord Ivy used to do it for the children of the streets.
Okay.
To keep them
off the streets.
We used to get a BUN and COCO.
Oh, BUN and COCO.
We sing tiptoe to the Bayno, where the kids go for a BUN and COCO. Tiptoe to the Bayno with me. Yeah, we all go to Bayno.
There's this chap called Besant. He was wealthy in his own right, but he lived down the west end of London, and he was aware there was absolutely nothing, despite the hordes of people living in the area. There was absolutely no facilities. He says there was no opera house, there was no theatre, there was nothing for the people. So he set about building the People's Palace in London, in the west end of London. And Cecil Edward Guinness was inspired by this, and Cecil Edward Guinness, obviously very wealthy in his own right. He thought about to establish something similar in Dublin. And he was building the apartments here. He'd already restored St. Patrick's Park, or created St. Patrick's Park. He was building the apartments here, and as part of that, he decided that one of the centerpieces should be a place for children to come after school, where there'd be warmth, there would be games, there would be education, there would be entertainment, instruction would be provided, there would be sports, all sorts of things, music, drama. As well as that, he also built the public baths, the Ivy Baths there in Ross Road. He was concerned about the fact that there were at that time, there would have been dealers, stall holders out on Patrick Street there, and he was concerned about the children being at the stalls with their parents. They'd be there in hail, rain and snow, so he established the Ivy Market. So it all came about, it's part of one big plan, like it's not just, this wasn't an isolated idea that he had, it was part of a big plan that he had for the improvement of the area, So he invested, I think it was 38,000 to build this premises, which was one of the showpiece of Dublin architecture, it was the first, the first 20th century building in Dublin to have a preservation order actually put on it. It started in 1909, they moved in here in 1915. It got the name Bayno because in the British Army, there used to be a saying, when you were taking a break, you took a beano, right? And then when the lads came back here after the First War, this was opened to them, as a venue to come, because there was health and there was food and all things provided for the people of the Dublin area. They came here, and instead of being the Beano, it became, in Dublin slang, the Bayno. King George and Queen Mary visited the Bayno as part of Lord Ivy's Play Centre, it was called then at that stage, and they came, and it's quite interesting. You can see the photographs, I have some downstairs. You can see in the photographs, you've got the King, the Viceroy, the parish priest from Francis Street, you've got the Guinness family, and they're all up the front of this hall. And then if you look at the children, they're all in pinafores, dress of the time. The majority of them actually have no shoes, They actually went around with no shoes, and it was quite interesting. We had, in 1988, we had a celebration here, part of the Millennium celebration for Dublin. We opened up the premises to people, And there were about 3 people who arrived that day who had been at the Queen and King's visit in 1906. And they were able to identify themselves from the photographs, which was quite, now the unfortunate thing is they were well in their 90s at the time. We didn't record it. We should have recorded it at the time, like, you know. But they were able to tell, you know, what it was like, you know, how they were treated and things like that at the day, like, you know. It's quite amazing that all through the year you will get people who come to the door here and they'll say they come from Australia, they come from Canada, New Zealand, you name it, the States, they've been to England and all that, or even local people that come along. And they come along in here and they tell you of the time that they spent in the Bayno. And for an awful lot of people living right throughout the world, this was one of the highlights of their childhood. It's to come where they came along, they learned arts and crafts. Other people went on, they got trades out of here, they established dancing schools, they went on to a world, they were more confident because they'd come here and they learned an awful lot of things like here. And in the way they came after school, as I said, it was education, it was informative, it was entertaining. They got so much out of it, like, you know. An awful lot of the kids at the time, they would have been in big crowded classrooms. There would have been no arts and crafts, there would have been no music, no drama. You know, there would have been the reading, writing, arithmetic. This allowed people to be creative, you know, generated, and that's very important when a child was growing up. But when these people would have been going to school, none of that creativity would have been there, like, you know. So to this was a really big thing for an awful lot of people, like, you know. And when you talk to people, they become so sentimental about the place, like, you know. You know, after school, the warmth, the friendship, the way they were looked after, everything that they say about the place, you just feel that they're reliving it there, like, you know. And I give an awful lot of time to these people because you know that it's important for them, you know. And the people sometimes, usually over 50, like between 50 and 90 at this stage, like, you know, they'd come in and they'd be talking about it, like, you know, and they'd be talking about the people that they knew and the activities that they participated in, like, you know, and how much the area changed. But for them, you know, they look around, they see all the new apartments, the road widening, things like that. But for an awful lot of these people, this is just in their memory. It's a place that hasn't changed in their memories, like, you know. And when you bring them in and walk them through, you can see how attached they were to the place. Because some of them would have come here from the time they were 4 until the time they were 14. You know, this was their after-school club, like, you know. The friendships that they made there, the people that they can talk about, like, you know, it meant so much to an awful lot of people.
I went to the Bayno in Bullally Street, that's now the Liberty College, and we went to the Bayno most days and it was great. You learned, you did art, dancing, singing, they had a library.
The library sticks out in my mind. Going to the library, I thought that was heaven. But you always had a child with you. My mother had 18 in the family, so we were the oldest.
I would have went to the Bayno maybe when I was 7 or 8, and then your older sisters could bring, if you had a little brother, maybe 2, you could bring them or sister to the Bayno. But if you had them, they had like a nursery part, and you went up and there was all colouring books and crayons that you mightn't ever have at home, and books. So they even catered for older, well, kids, 10, having to bring their younger sisters and brothers.
It was really further education for most of them, because in the classrooms, in the schools around here, you'd have a minimum of 50 in a class, and some of them wouldn't be able to read or write very well, so, and it would be one teacher. The teacher couldn't give too much attention to one child. But when you went to the Bayno, you could learn these different things. And you'd go in after school. We now have homework clubs, but that really was a homework club before its time. And the teachers from the schools in the locality, they were part of the teaching in the afternoon. I think it was around 4 o'clock you used to go in.
After school you go down there and there was all sorts of stuff like learning your needlework and all little crafts like that, and then there was singing and dancing, and then you had to sing a song to Lady, I think it was Lady Guinness or Lady Wicklow, I don't know, but I remember singing them songs. Other people know them better than me now.
We sang a song when we went in first to Lady Guinness. We are children, good children, we come here to play. But that was a great thing for kids in the area that really hadn't got much. And you got a bun, a lovely bun from Kennedy's Bakery, and shell cocoa that we threw under the seat because it was horrible. But you had to take the cocoa to get the bun. So we took the cocoa and put it under the seat, flung it out. I mean, they had to know because the place must have been flooded after we left.
It was fabulous now going into the Bayno. All the classrooms were great. There's probably all, they're still there now. And then you'd go into a big one and you'd learn all the rhymes, the Dublin rhymes, you know, and we'd be all swinging around, you know. It was Saturday morning then, it was like a sports day. Now it was only open from, we say, about 10 to 1. And wherever you needed, they gave you, you know, balls or skipping ropes and things like that. They gave out to you, and then they collected them all. The hula hoop, well, we called it them as well, you know.
I was attracted to it by the football. There was a big playground at the back and you'd go in. So you went into that, boys and girls. The boys usually played the football. A lot of girls play football now, but you couldn't play football then as well. It was considered unladylike. So it was great going in, and you got a bun and shell cocoa. You eat the bun. You had to do away with the cocoa somewhere. Usually it was spilled on the ground or into anywhere you saw a container, it was put into it.
And then over Christmas time, although I never went to the party, I don't know why, but they used to give a big party for all the children and, you know, minerals, cakes. And like, that was a luxury to get them.
And every Christmas they gave a huge big party. They didn't give them to anyone that was misbehaving down through the years, you know. And it was great to get a ticket for that party because you also got a present. And this was all from Guinness's.
And we had to be there at 3 o'clock.
And what age would you go to the Bayno?
We go to the Bayno we'd have to come after school.
So you'd be about what age?
To keep us off the streets.
Yeah.
And we'd go down. The Bayno was in Patrick Street.
So would you been a child, a young child?
Lord Ivy opened it.
Yeah.
For the children, the poor children of the district.
Okay.
Of the Liberties.
Yeah. This is in inner city Dublin, isn't it?
Yeah.
And what age would you have been going to this?
Oh, you went from you were about 11.
11.
Yeah,
okay.
maybe. Yeah, and then it closed at, you know, we went home for your tea.
Yeah.